5 waterproofing rules you can't break. If you're planning an indoor sauna right now, in a bathroom, basement, or as part of a remodel, there is one thing you absolutely cannot afford to get wrong: waterproofing and moisture control. If you mess this up, you don't just get a weak sauna. You get moisture in your framing, you get hidden mold, and a future where you are tearing out tile, benches, and wall assemblies for tens of thousands of dollars. I'll show you a real example where someone bought a house with a Finnish sauna in it and then realized it was built completely wrong. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 waterproofing rules you can't break with an indoor sauna, and a simple spec you can hand to your contractor so they don't improvise. I'm Veeti, a Finnish sauna expert. Since 2022, I've helped thousands of US-based sauna builders make their sauna dreams come true without rotting their house. Let's get into it. A real-world failure. Bought a house, sauna already wrong. First, a quick story so this doesn't feel so theoretical. On Reddit, there's a post from someone who bought a house that came with a Finnish sauna already installed. Sounds great until you look at the details. Here's what they found. The bottom bench is so rotten there isn't really any way of saving it. The trim around the door that touches the floor is also rotten. The lower wall paneling is covered in what looks like mold. Behind the panels, there's just a basic plastic vapor barrier. The wall boards were installed directly against the plastic, so there is no air cap. And as they write, there is really no ventilation. So what they thought is a bonus in their new nice home is actually a sauna with no fresh air, wall boards that stayed wet for a long time after use, wood elements touching the floor and slowly rotting, and a construction stack-up that never gave the structure a chance to dry. At that point, all the experienced sauna guys tell them the same thing. Tear it down to the insulation, check the framing and rebuild properly, and add ventilation. That's a lot of work and, more importantly, a lot of cost, just to undo somebody else's shortcuts. So let's go through the 5 rules that would have prevented this situation in the first place. Rule number 1. Your indoor sauna floor is a shower floor. Your sauna floor must be built like a shower floor. Inside an indoor sauna, sweat ends up on the floor, condensation runs down the walls. You throw water on the stones, it becomes steam and then water again. If that water doesn't have a controlled path, it either pools on the surface, finds a joint and heads into the walls, or keeps the lower boards and trims constantly damp. In the Reddit example, there was a drain, but the rest of the construction, wood touching the floor, no ventilation cap, no air cap, meant moisture still collected at the bottom and stayed there. That's why the bottom bench structure and door rims rotted out first. Minimum spec for an indoor sauna floor. Have a drain inside the sauna. Have a continuous waterproofing membrane under the finished floor. And have a slope towards the drain. So membranes continued up the wall a few inches, and any structural wood, bench trims, should not sit directly on the floor in the wet zone. Think about your sauna as shower or wet room, not a room with some boards. If your current drawing shows a flat floor, no drain, or loads of wood sitting directly on the slab or tile, that's the first thing I'd change. The second rule is that the floor waterproofing must turn up the wall. Imagine your sauna floor like a very shallow bathtub. Bottom has the membrane under the tile. Then the sides have that membrane turned up the walls a few inches. Your framing and studs live outside that tub. That way, when the water hits the floor, it stays in the tub, it moves towards the drain, and it never gets the chance to run into the wall base. In many bad builds, they stop the membrane exactly at the wall floor joint and just run a bed of sealant. That's likely what happened behind those lower boards in the Reddit sauna. Moist air and some splash water reached the bottom of the walls. The wall boards sat directly against the plastic with no cap, so there was no way for that area to breathe and dry, which leads to mold in the visible paneling. So, very simple line to your contractor. Waterproof the sauna like a shower with the membrane brought up the walls, not just seal the joint. That gives the water nowhere to go but the drain. Rule number 3. Vapor barrier and air cap inside the sauna with space to breathe. The vapor barrier belongs to the sauna side, with an air gap before the wood paneling. In the Reddit post after ripping some boards off, they see a plastic vapor barrier, wall boards installed directly against that plastic. So there is no vertical air gap at all. And the comments are full of Finns and builders saying the same thing. That's not how it's done nowadays. You need an air gap behind the panels. And here's why. The vapor barrier's job is to stop humid air from entering the wall assembly. The air cap's job is to let the interior wood dry between sessions. So here's how the correct wall stack looks from inside the sauna to the outside. First we have the interior wood paneling. Then we have vertical air cap, which is about 1 inch or 2 to 3 centimeters. Then we have foil vapor barrier that is continuous and taped. Then we have insulation and studs. And then whatever the rest of your house wall is. The air gap must be continuous from the bottom to the top and open at the bottom and at the ceiling edge. And the air gap has to be supported by vertical furring strips or a vertical horizontal lattice if your panels are vertical. In the Reddit case, they had plastic instead of a foil, no air cap, and panels right on the plastic that trapped moisture at the surface. That's why the advice they got was tear out all the paneling, check framing and insulation, and then rebuild with proper foil layer and air cap. When you build new, you can skip that tear everything out part by doing it correctly up front. Rule number 4 is to have ventilation, because no vents means mold factory. So here we have the 4th rule. You must have real ventilation in and out of the sauna. The title of the Reddit post literally says, "New house, Finnish sauna, no ventilation, guessing this is all mold, advice?" And in the comments, at some point, the owner says there was 0 ventilation, nada. That combined with no air gap and wood sitting on the floor is exactly how you get moldy paneling and rotten lower structures. I'm not going to turn this into a full ventilation masterclass here. We already have a detailed video where we draw exact vent layouts, heights and sizes. I'll link that somewhere here and in the description if you want full step-by-step on ventilation. For this video, the main thing is that you need a way for fresh air to come in and you need a way for used humid air to leave the sauna and a way for the room to actually dry between sessions. If your current plan has no vents drawn at all or just a random ceiling fan dumping steam into an attic or hallway, that's something to fix on paper now. In the Reddit sauna, there was a drain and there was a plastic behind the porch, but with no ventilation and no air cap, the lower porch never dried. The moisture sat there until the wood gave up. So get the shell waterproofed and vapor controlled like we've talked about. And then pair that with a proper ventilation layout. If you want to see exactly how I recommend doing the vents for electric and wood-fired heaters, watch the ventilation masterclass after this video. Rule number 5. Minimum spec you hand to your general contractor. Don't trust yourself or your contractor to remember all of this. Well, trust your contractor, otherwise they will hate me, but just be sure. Put everything in writing so nobody can say, "I didn't know." You just heard a lot of details. Build the floor like a shower, run the waterproofing membrane up the wall, keep the vapor barrier on the sauna side, including an air gap behind the paneling, and ensure proper ventilation and drying. If you try to explain all of that from a memory in a 10-minute conversation with your GC, half of it will get lost. last. So I made a simple one-page indoor sauna checklist you can print, fill in with your actual dimensions, and literally hand to your contractor or designer. It has the floor requirements in one block, the wall and ceiling stack in one block, and the ventilation/drying basics in one block. If you want that, there is a link in the description. You put in your email and I'll send you the PDF. And you can use it on this project and every sauna you build after this. That's much easier than trying to replay this video in the contractor's office. Alright, that's the big idea. Get the shell built like a wet room, keep the vapor barrier on sauna side of the wall, and keep the air and the wood away to actually dry. Do that and your indoor sauna isn't going to secretly eat your house from the inside. If you want this distilled into something you can actually use, grab the indoor sauna checklist in the description. It's a one-pager you can print and go through line by line with your contractor. Let me know in the comments if you have seen saunas like that Reddit example. Looked nice in the listing, turned out to be a mess. I read those comments and they help me decide what to make next. Thanks for watching and enjoy your löyly without rotting your house. The bottom bench support. Come on, you have to do this. You can do this. The bottom bench support is so rotten that there is no way of saving it. The trim around the floor. Vittu saatana. Bottom equals membrane under the tile. Bottom